Good morning. On behalf of Times Network, it's my privilege and honor to welcome the RBI Governor, Mr. Shaktikanta Das, Mr. K. Vaidyanathan, and other esteemed dignitaries, and indeed each one of you to India Economic Conclave 2019. We are proud of the success that we have had of this platform, which has grown over the years to become the most distinguished stage for driving India's economic agenda. Year after year, we have hosted esteemed speakers, policy makers, growth drivers, and global thinkers who have shared their opinions and ideas to help unleash India's true potential. India's quest for growth is not about meeting grand numbers. While we do at an aggregate level figure as one of the leading major economies of the world, our real agenda in growth is to urgently improve the human condition of the poorest in this country. South Asia has about 41% of the world's poor, and India has 28% of the world's poor. Almost 370 million Indians, 37 crore Indians, are even now below poverty line. Our record in lifting people out of poverty, however, has been stellar. 44 people are bailed out of poverty every minute according to the World Poverty Clock in India. We have listed almost 20 crore people in the last 10 years cumulatively out of poverty, a feat that is second only to China. This conclave has a special significance, coming just 2 weeks before we welcome 2020s. The 20s, you will all agree, will be our decade. I'm sure that in 10 years from now, in 2030, all of us will proudly look back at the huge strides we would have made in taking India to middle income status. Maybe it's a good time to do a quick check on what we have already achieved and accomplished since 1990, the year of the first liberalization. Starting then till 2019, till last month, till now, we have had a spate of reforms taking us irreversibly to be a truly capitalistic economy with competition infused in almost all sectors. We have reformed tariffs, deregulated almost all industries, rationalized income tax, infused stock market culture, broken state monopolies in aviation, telecom, infrastructure, banking, aggressively pushed privatization, introduced the insolvency and bankruptcy bill, implemented GST, and finally lowered corporate taxes to be amongst the most competitive in the world at our scale. Simultaneously, we have controlled inflation and admirably managed interest rates. All these for a nation of 1.3 billion, which had almost 60% below poverty line at the beginning, without any unrest or revolution, and without the strong arm of a dictatorship, which is usually required. This is unprecedented. Our per capita income by purchasing power parity has risen from $1,200 in 1990 to almost $8,000 now. Life expectancy at birth went up by 12 years in the same period. Average schooling years has gone up by 3.5 years. Our Human Development Index value has risen from 0.43 to 0.65, a stellar 50% increase in this period. Whole new industries exist today. They did not exist at the time when I started my career in 1990. IT and enabled services, automobiles, telecom, media, construction, retail, airlines, airport, insurance, all these in the private sector was not there. I joined Times Group in 1990 at the entry level in sales. In 1990, with my annual salary, I had to save for 8 years to buy a base level Maruti 800 of that time. Today, for the same level that I had joined, we pay enough for the executive to buy the same car or the equivalent car in just 5 months' salary. And that is development. This is serious growth. And we have done this with a vibrant democracy, which puts the added constraint on leaders of our government to play to the electorate and ensure equitable distribution. All this brings us to the agenda of IEC and indeed the nation, the aspiration for 5 trillion. Suggested sometime in 2018 by the Honorable Prime Minister, this dream number was first amplified on this very platform last year at IEC 2018 and has since resonated strongly with all constituents. Getting to this number will fundamentally change our average condition. From 8,000 US dollars per capita, this will move us to nearly 14,000 US dollars per capita, which will firmly put us at the average global per capita income by purchasing power parity. An extremely important and significant achievement. And by our track record, if we do that, the improvement in HDI, we believe, can go up to 0.8, which will put us firmly in the middle countries from our historic low bands. Since June this year, however, we are seeing some sputters in our growth engine, leading to a lot of doomsday prophecies. There has also been questions raised on whether we can even reach the 5 trillion number in the next 5 years. While the diagnosis of what's wrong and what can be done is a matter left to experts, although when we look at the trend, we think it is not at all difficult to get to the next 1,200, 1.2 trillion is not going to be, 2.2 trillion is not going to be so difficult in the next 4 to 5 years. But we leave that to the experts and people who will discuss today. We from the media, and specifically from Times Network, which controls almost 50 to 60% on each week on the viewership on English through Times Now, ET Now, and Mirror Now, and therefore have a responsibility to ensure that your mood and your view and your vision of the future, of your future, is, protected and not sullied by, too much of doomsday. While we will sort of obviously give you the right information, we believe it's also our duty to inspire that confidence. It's our firm belief that what we are currently facing will not affect the long-term trajectory. While there are some triggers in the last 2 years, mainly reforms that do have some short-term cost in terms of growth, we believe that the stage is indeed set for India to burst into the 20s with all parts of its engine in its best form. The current slump, I'm sure, is an impetus for the last remaining reforms, and there will be nothing left to hold us back from the next year and for the next decade and for the decades to come. With that, I want to wish all of you the very best for this conclave over the next 2 days. Thank you very much.